Two decks down, two decks to go. Today, we're going to be taking a look at the Aegis of the Machines, the Battle Spirit Saga starter deck for white, and we're going to be upgrading it. We're going to be taking 15 cards out, putting 15 cards in, and doing all of that for under $15. All right, you guys, welcome back to the Table of Madness. We are looking over Battle Spirit Saga's white starter deck, the Aegis of the Machines. I already took everything out of the box because we pretty much know how this goes. Of course, we get our red soul core and we get some blue soul cores as well. So that's really nice there. So now we're going to go ahead and go over the entire starter deck, and I'm actually going to be talking a little bit how this deck kind of wants to pilot. First, we're going to be looking at basically the captain of the deck, Divine Moonsky Beast, and this is a very interesting card. It has, when this spirit blocks during this turn, this spirit cannot be destroyed by your opponent's destruction effects or as a result of battle. So basically, it has protection in battle and from other destruction effects, which is really good and really unique. It also has a very interesting ability at level 2 and 3. At the end of your opponent's turn, if you did not lose life this turn, place one core from your opponent's life into their trash. That is a very, very unique ability, and that basically is going to set the standard for how we want this deck to run. We want cheaper alternative cost cards that we can pump out that have substandard defense, so we can get, and we want this guy out as soon as possible, so we can put him out in the field, then overload the board, and then hopefully either block your opponent so much that they lose life, and then we can outtake them and overswarm them with some cheaper cards. So that's basically the thought I'm going into building this deck. So, of course, we know we get 2 copies of Divine Moonsky. We get probably 3 copies of Gregamar. Yep. 3 copies of Mechatrice. Mecha Wing Duck, hopefully. 3 copies of that as well. Yeah. Hollow Beast Glass Bear. A nice card there. And here's where some of these starter decks, they start to lose me. The vanilla cards, most of the times, like 9 times out of 10, you're going to be pulling out these vanilla cards that have just nothing else here in the text. So hopefully we only get 3 of these ones. Yep, 3 copies of Mobile Golem, that's good. Brontech, 3 copies of, that's good. Buffalong Bill, this is a very good card. Sea Beast Dugon is another vanilla card. We've taken that card out more than likely. Ice Blader Brigid. 4 copies of that one. Okay. That's nice. Frost Tree Goddess Ire. You get 3 or 4. We get 3 of those ones. Okay. Now we're on to the Nexus. Spring of Norn. 3 copies of that one. Heaven Piercing Castle. 3 copies of that one. Holy Elixir. Probably get 4 of those, right? Yep. 4 copies of those ones. Dream Bomb. 4 copies of Dream Bomb. And then Protection Aura. Guessing we get 3? We get 3. Alright, so that is the entire starter deck for white, the Aegis of the Machine. Now, I'm going to go ahead and show you guys what the 15 cards I would be taking out, and then we're going to upgrade and put 15 cards in, all under $15. Alright, now that we went over the deck itself, now we're going to show you guys the 15 cards that I think you should take out. Now, let me just go ahead and say this on the offset too. There is a good white deck that you can build with all of these vanilla cards, because white does have a lot of vanilla cards that are actually very cheap, but this deck is not that build. This is not the deck you want to run this in, but you could do it in another deck. I mean, completely different deck. But for the starter deck, to upgrade this starter deck, I don't think this is the appropriate build. So the 15 cards we're taking out, 3 copies of Brontech. Again, it's a vanilla card, and it's a little too expensive for my taste. Mobile Golem, also a very vanilla card. And again, too high of a cost for my taste. Again, like I said, there is a white build that you can do with these vanilla cards that would actually be a lot of fun. And I might do a completely different deck profile on it. Sea Beast Dugon, we're going to take out 2 copies. I am leaving 1 copy in, but the other 2 must go. Spring of Norm, and this is the card with the vanilla cards that can work really good with white, because it says right here at the start of the step, refresh all of your spirits with no effects listed. This card could be good in that build, but again, we're not doing it. So we're going to take out all 3 copies. Heaven Piercing Castle, this card we're taking out as far as the Nexus goes, because you have to have a red soul core in order to draw a card, and I'd rather have a better draw engine than actually putting my 1 soul red core on it. All 3 copies must go, and 1 copy of Dream Bomb. I don't need 4. I don't need to flood my hand with it. I need spirits first and foremost, and then that card can come in handy. So those are the 15 cards that I'm taking out. Now we're going to head over to the TCG player, and I'm going to show you the 15 cards we're going to add, and we're going to do all of it under $15. Alright, you guys, we have now gone over the entire white deck. I've already told you what cards to take out. Now, it's time to show you what cards we're going to be putting in. Again, 15 cards going in, guys, and all of this under $15. And I'm also going to show you, too, the strategy that's kind of behind this build is going to be 2 things. Number 1, it's this one right here, Divine Moonsky. We want this one out as soon as possible. But really, the white deck plays really similar in 2 different ways. It's really a very good passive deck. If you're not an aggressive player, white is the perfect color for you. So basically what you want to do with a white deck is you want to play very passively. You don't want to be doing a lot of attacking. You're going to be playing a lot of defense, and you're going to basically flood the opponent with lots of good value cards. That's kind of the name of the game, especially with this build. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to add at least 1 copy of Divine Moonsky Beast. I would like to ultimately add 2 copies, but as you can see, this card is $6.89, so you can only add 1 copy. That'll at least take from the 2 copies you already get, add it into another one, and I have 3 copies of the card you ultimately really want out. This card, like I said, is the pilot of your deck. It's the captain of the deck. You want this card out as soon as possible. Getting this card out as soon as possible, then flooding the board with very low-cost creatures is the ultimate way of really winning with this deck. So 1 copy, Divine Moonsky. The next one, this is kind of like your co-captain. This is basically your 2A star right here. You know, you got the 1A, then you got 2A. This is the 2A star right here. And you are going to be adding 3 copies of Dinosaur Hario Turbo Rex. And I absolutely love this card for all of the abilities right here. First of all, it's very cheap. It only comes in at 91 cents. So essentially you can get 3 copies for this for under $3. So I really do like that. It also has Ascend. And Ascend is very nice. It says it costs 3 or more. So basically as an additional summoning cost, you must place all cores from one of your spirits that cost 3 or more into your reserve. And then it has on levels 1, 2, and 3. So for that additional cost, this is what you're getting. You're getting all 3 of these abilities. And these are really good abilities. During your opponent's attack step, you may select one of your opponent's spirits at the start of the step. If possible, that spirit must attack first. So you're basically giving command over your opponent. You're basically saying, hey, that has to attack first. And of course, probably going to pick something that you can remove. Also, too, white has very good removal, like bouncing cards out from the field back into your opponent's hand. Not as good as purple, because I think purple just absolutely destroys them by removing their cores, and it's going to go right to the trash. White, though, will bounce it back to your opponent's hand, so it does have some good card removal. Where white really suffers, it doesn't draw as well. And on levels 2s and 3s, when this spirit attacks, select one of your opponent's spirit that does not have Ascend and return it to their hand. So there you go. So you're getting card removal as well as making your opponent attack something. 3 copies of this, very good. Next up on the list, you're going to be adding 2 copies of Buster Fenrir Cannon. This is, there's a better option for this card, but it's a little more expensive. This is the very cheap alternative. I'm going to show you the better card at the very end. So if you wanted to just spend a little more extra than $15, it would be less than 20, but a little more than 15. I'm going to show you what card you can add instead of this one. But this one's not that bad either. At levels 2s and 3, when this spirit blocks, return all of your opponent's spirit that costs 2 or fewer and return it to their hand. Like I said from the very beginning of making all these decks, the unspoken rule of Battle Spirit Saga, it's not the big creatures that beat you, it's the small creatures, the 1s and the 2s, that will absolutely override the field and absolutely attack you all at once. The big creatures, though, make way. They clear that path like Moses at the Red Sea. They slam that thing down, they're going to part that Red Sea, and a small creature is just going to come right through and beat you for game. That's usually how Battle Spirit Saga works. So when you have something that can remove some of these smaller creatures at will, those are the cards that are really going to be your ace in the hole when you're staring down defeat. You're staring down defeat, you're like, man, if I don't remove these creatures, the very next turn, I am going to get overrun with valued creatures, small creatures that are going to beat me, the spirits, actually. So anything that you can remove 2 or less, I'm all for it. And again, we've already talked about white has good removal. This is another card that can get you some of that removal. And we're only going to put 2 copies in, so this is really, like I said, ace in the hole. Next up, we get 3 of these in the deck. We're going to be adding at least 1 more copy of this card as well. You can see $1.95. There's a reason for that. At level 1 and 2 during your opponent's attack step, When one of your opponent's spirits return to the hand or the deck, place a core from the void onto this spirit. So you basically can upgrade this for free. It's a nice little 1-drop. Like I said, you want that valued creature, so anything that you can basically get out for free by just having one more creature, because this thing can get reduced by 1, so essentially this card can get played for free. And the next card, so again, just one copy of this guy, Mecha Wing Duck. And the next one we're going to add, we removed all those other vanilla creatures because they were a little more expensive. This card right here, 4 copies of Automatic Gunner. If you guys haven't realized about the other builds, there's not a lot of additional 1-drops. White has some very good low-cost valued creatures. We removed all those other vanilla cards previously when we discarded the 15 out of this deck. And I told you the reason why is they're just too cost efficient. They cost too much. This one fits perfectly. 4 copies of Automatic Gunner, very cheap, and can basically be played for free as long as you have another creature, another spirit, on the field, because this can get reduced by 1. So Automatic Gunner, you have a handful of that, and you have a handful of Mecha Wing Ducks. You could literally just be playing 1-drops for free as long as you just have the cores to put on it. That's the only thing that's going to cost you. And then last but not least, 4 copies of Fortress Metropolis Newman City. Love this card, and I'm going to tell you exactly why I really like this card. Number 1, very cheap. So 4 copies of this is only going to run you 4 cents. And then it has 2 great abilities. Normally for these Nexuses, they usually have 1 really good ability on level 1. Very rarely do they have 1 really good ability on level 2. And very rarely do both abilities really coexist with your deck. This card, both abilities at level 1 and 2 really help out your deck. Specifically, this main ability, during your main step, when you summon a Machine Beast Spirit card that costs 6 or more, count the symbol on this Nexus, which is right there at the bottom right, as 3 white symbols. That is fantastic. For those of you that may not know, maybe like Magic the Gathering, if you're familiar, like with Soul Ring, you tap it, you get 2 colorless. This card, if you're playing a Machine Beast, this 1 right here becomes 3, and you can reduce creatures by 3 by having this card out. And that right there, that main one, Machine Beast. Let's go take a look. Divine Moonsky, Machine Beast. Dinosaur Harrier, Machine Beast. Fenrir, Machine Beast. Mecha Wing Duck, all these cards, they're Machine Beasts, and your high cost, especially these 2 right here, are Machine Beasts. They cost 6 or more, so they can, as long as you have just the Fortress out, they can easily be reduced by 3 just by having that 1 Fortress card out on the field. And if you guys realize here, you got 3 white symbols right next to their, they got the 6, and then they got the 3 little white dots. That means that this cost can be reduced by 3. So this 6-drop can be cost a 3-drop. This 7-drop now becomes a 4-drop just by having this 1 card out. It's a very good card for white. It's a very good Nexus card. Its second ability also has, during your opponent's turn, all of your spirits gain 1000 BP, which is crucial because, again, like I said, you're going to be playing a lot of defense, specifically with this deck. And that is it. Those are the 15 cards that I'll be adding into my deck. And all of this comes in at $11.99. So we're well under that $15 range. If you guys really wanted to spend just a little bit more than $15, the only reason why I didn't do it is because it would have put me over $15. You would take out this card and you would add 3 copies or 2 copies of this card, Black Jaguar. This is also a Machine Beast. It has 2 great abilities. It really synergizes perfectly with this deck. It's just a little too expensive, but I will go ahead and show you the abilities. When summoned, select 2 of your opponent's spirit with 2,000 or fewer BP. Return them to the bottom of their deck. So not only are we bouncing creatures not into our opponent's hand, we're bouncing them to the bottom of their deck. They're not going to get those cards back. And then during your opponent's attack step, refresh the spirit when your opponent draws a card. So if your opponent's going to be drawing a card while attacking or during the attack step at all, you can refresh the spirit and go ahead and play some more defense. $2, so if you would add 2 copies or 3 copies, you're going to be well over that $15 range. And like I said, I would remove this card because they're essentially, these 2 cards are the same exact thing, just Black Jaguar just happens to have better abilities and can be reduced by 3, where Fenrir can only be reduced by 2. And that is going to do it for you guys. That is going to do it for this white deck. We still have one more deck to go over. It is the yellow deck, and it is the Forbidding Magic deck, and that is going to do it for all 4 of these decks. So we got one more deck to go. Of course, guys, if you guys been liking these type of videos, if you guys want to see more deck profiles, not just for Battle Spirit Saga, Yu-Gi-Oh, one piece, please let me know down below in the comment section. I love making these budget-friendly decks. I like doing it for a couple of reasons. Number one, I'm all about value. I'm all about saving you guys some money. Also, too, I like showing you guys different ways to play these decks. These aren't going to be decks that you're probably not going to see a lot of people building, but this is the type of build that I like to do because it gives you a different way to play. And when you find new ways of playing games, it just makes the game either that much better or you really fine-tune what strategy you really like. So I like to be doing that for you guys. Of course, if you guys can just hit that like button, I really do appreciate it. If you're new here, consider hitting that subscribe button. Go check out some of my other content. And as always, guys, thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. And I'll see you guys next time.